This is Shruti. She has done more than 300 plus orders on Fiverr, and she is a freelancer providing graphic designing services on Fiverr using Canva. Yes, you heard it right. Our free software Canva. And in this particular video, she told me exactly how she got it.
This was the story. Like, it was nothing like I did proper SEO, I did gig image research, I never research, nothing like that. It was just a.
She told me the exact step by step process to get clients on Fiverr using Canva.
So the thing is, people just underestimate anything which is available for free. That's beauty of our society.
She even told me how to charge for your services and how to retain that client every single month.
People are charging $750, $800, $900 for a simple banner. But if you ask me, Shruti, would you charge this much? I would. It doesn't matter. Like you said, you are a video editor. Whether you are editing on a free software or a paid software, in the end, the end product totally reflects what skills you have. As a beginner, you won't get a lot of views. YouTube won't recommend your video a lot. So what you can do is, it's not that tough to manage a team if your team members are really good and humble people.
Watch this video completely and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The timestamps also given below if you want to move around, but I would say watch the video completely to get that important secrets. And here is the conversation, guys. Hey, hi Shruti. How's you doing there? Thank you for joining me here.
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Actually, gone through one of your podcasts where you're talking about that you're going to do a MBA. And I'm also doing an MBA. I'm in the first year of MBA in Mumbai. So I just got connect with you and I just wanted to know about more how to do freelancing because I'm a video editor as a freelancer. So I want to get to know about how I can get clients on Fiverr or how I can get clients in Journal. So I just wanted to talk with you and I just wanted to reach out to you and want to get a more information about how I can start the freelancing on Fiverr. Then I got this thought, why should I do it for my own? Let's do a podcast with the Shruti so that everyone gets to know about this whole stuff. So just introduce about yourself.
So, hello everyone. My name is Shruti and I am from Narsinghpur, Madhya Pradesh. And I have just completed my graduation this year only. And right now, I am thinking of doing MBA. I am a graphic designer. I am also learning UI UX design. I'll be doing some of my internships in the upcoming months. Also, I am a YouTuber and a freelancer. That's it.
So let's start with your freelancing journey. Like why you started freelancing and how did you got your first client? That's the most important question because having and getting that first client is very interesting story of any freelancer and that's too interesting and I just wanted to know about you.
Yeah, so it was, I would say it is kind of funny, and I was lucky enough to get my first client within 2 months on Fiverr. So the journey starts back when I was in my college first year, and after the pandemic, like in pandemic, I would say, I thought of starting freelancing. I watched one of the videos of Aman Bhaiya, Aman Datrawal. So he was the first who introduced me to the term freelancing. I didn't knew about it before. So he was the first one by which, like after watching his video, I got to know about freelancing, and he made a whole complete series about freelancing. Like there were a number of parts. So just this graphic designing part caught my attention, and I thought that I should give it a try. But back then I was in my 12th, so I was focusing on boards. So I just dropped the idea at that moment. But when there was pandemic, it was a great opportunity because all of I didn't have anything to do. Nobody was focusing on their studies. It was like a big long vacation. So I just thought that I should try it, and I did it. And there were it was not like that. I joined Fiverr. Like Fiverr was not my first platform. I tried on freelancer.com first. I didn't get any response. I got some messages, but they were asking for some deposit or something. So I just thought that I'm not gonna invest any money. Like I was scared because obviously I was not earning at that moment. So I just dropped that idea and dropped that platform too. Then after a few days, I came across this website called Fiverr, and I just made my, like Fiverr. Many of the people are not able to register on Fiverr and do all of the stuff. The reason is it is a very long process. You have to set up the whole profile, gigs, and everything. It is a time-taking process, and it took me like 2-3 hours to set up all of the things by my own. And sometimes you got stuck at the verification part. There is a lot to do, but somehow I did it. And then after a wait of 2 months, I got my first client eventually. I don't know how, because the gig image that I have chosen at that moment, I remember it was not that good. But luckily, I would say the person was in a hurry to do the work, and the prices were also very low at that moment. I charged, I guess, $5 for a Facebook ad post. So yeah, so he was okay. Like he gave me the order, and I did the order, and this was the story. Like it was nothing like I did proper SEO, I did gig image research, I neighbor research, nothing like that. It was just a miracle, I would say, that I got my first client. Yeah, that's it.
That's a great thing that you got your first client. Why we can't say it as a luck, because at least you give it your try. You gone through that platform, you created your gig. So that's important thing. Most of the people not even do that. So that important thing that you did. So that's how that, because of that you got the client. That's the thing. And I just have this question, that most of the people are having this myth that you can't do freelancing with the help of Canva. So Canva is a free tool. Most of the features are the free, but still you are not able to do the freelancing with the Canva. So I just wanted to giving some light on this topic, how they get your first client with the using of Canva.
So the thing is, people just underestimate anything which is available for free. That's beauty of our society, I would say. So if the software is paid, people think that it is a very good software. But I always say this, that what matters is your creativity, your skills. It doesn't matter, like you said, you are a video editor. Whether you are editing on a free software or a paid software, in the end, the end product totally reflects what skills you have. Everyone has this, like, the same features, the cut feature, the trim feature, but how you are going to use it, how, like, what is your thought process is something which is going to define or will result in a good end product. So for me, Canva is a very good tool because it is very easy to use. You don't have to, you know, it's very simple. Like the interface is very simple. You can go on the website and you can, after spending an hour or two, you will get to know all the features by yourself only, even if you are not following any tutorial or something. I did like that because I just went to the website and I just scrolled how to this, and I was able to grab everything by my own. So the thing is, back 3 years back, I was not able to create that level of designs, like a good level of designs. But after practicing, after seeing that, okay, people are making very good designs, you have to take inspiration. You have to, keep learning yourself. Although I was using the tool Canva, but I learned from GFX Mentor the color theory. He has beautiful lectures on graphic designing. So he has mentioned what kind of color, what color schemes you should use, what are the primary colors, and there are different themes of using colors. Like triadic theory is there. There's a complementary colors you use when you use, like, there are some common things that you should know if you are a designer. In the end, it doesn't matter what tool you are using, but it matters that you use or you use it in a correct way. So yeah, from him I learned a lot. Then there are a few more channels on YouTube who are like Satori Graphics. Yeah, he teaches on, like, he teaches Photoshop and all, and Illustrator too. So, but the thing is, the softwares are different, obviously, but the gradients, kind of gradients he use, the kind of typography he's using, these are the things that you should focus on. If you are a designer, or you should think of how I can do these things with the tool that I have. So these are the things which I used to grab, observe. For being a designer, it is very important to be a good observer, and then you can start designing. So for Canva, people underestimate it. That's the truth. and you can do all of the things. Maybe there is a little edge which is still not covered, but in future I guess there will be a lot of tools like pen tools and all will be incorporated in Canva, I think, because there are a lot of magic features that Canva has introduced recently. The AI thing is introduced, I guess, so yeah, so the tool is itself is developing, so you have to develop yourself, your skills, and the rest will be taken care of. So just Canva, you can earn from Canva, just a simple statement, but the thing is your skills should be good.
Yes, actually, what happens if anything is free, people start underrating it. Like if you are, suppose if you are providing your anything, service, counseling call, or anything, if it is free, people are not going to value your time or your energy. So something like Canva also have features what people are understanding because it is free, and Adobe charges for their products, and just because people are going to there. And yes, that's the important thing that you should keep in your mind. If something is free, it means you have to take that opportunity and get the full out of it. That's the thing.
Exactly.
And like, do you think do buyer requests work in a Fiverr?
Nah. Actually, this feature is removed. Like it's been 2 years, I guess, 1 year, 1 year, 1.5 year. This feature, buy request feature, has been removed because there were a lot of scams. People were, the new sellers were affected by it. So they have removed that option, buy request option. But there is another option which is called match brief. If your gig matches with some of the buyer's request, then they will recommend you to them and them to you. It's like that. Yeah.
I also wanted to know about tools and resources that you're going to use. People have, like, suppose I'm a video editor, so I have my own resources to get my job done. So as a designer, which kind of tools people needs to be used and the resources?
The first thing is first thing first is typography. So there are a lot of like websites from which you can take a reference. Like Google Fonts is one of the most used websites when it comes to like fonts and all. Otherwise, Squirrel Font is there. I personally use the fonts and Google Fonts the most. And then for the inspiration purpose, you can follow your favorite creators, obviously, who is creating good stuff. Again, whatever software is, they are using doesn't matter. Their work is what you should, observe and take inspiration from. So the next thing is Instagram. You can follow some good creators. For me, there is an Instagram creator called Benny, and he is very good. Um, he is a Canva designer, obviously, and he's very good with it. And there are 2-3 brand designers. They use Photoshop and all. I follow them as well. They are very good with their work. So I personally take a lot of inspiration from them. Other than this, Pinterest is a really good source, like my go-to place whenever I'm having a creative block. So yeah, you can take inspiration from there. Then you can go to Behance, go to Dribble for you can see other people's work, how they are doing, where you are at. You can do a self-evaluation, introspection. You can do it. And other than that, for colors and palettes, you can use colorhunt.io. It is a good, like it has some trendy templates and something. Otherwise, you can follow some theme pages which will be, updating you about incoming and outgoing trends. These are those sources.
Yeah, sources are unlimited on the internet. Your skills or the passion to doing work is matter that you're going to, that you want to say. Yes. And like you can use AI also if you are a designer or a creative person. So there is ideogram there, Midjourney there. So you can create designs and you can use it on your ads or whatever stuff you're going to making, right?
Yes.
One more thing I would like to, I just wanted to ask you that should we have to create distribution first or we should do the cold reaching to the client?
Actually, it depends on the person who is doing it. I would suggest if you are confident with your skill, you think that you can do or you can do any kind of work for a client. Like if there is some kind of self-confidence, on you yourself and on your skill as well, then you should go for cold outreach, because it will give you better result and faster result. I think this, because for me, I have some people in my team, and they all are like, they all have reached out me by DMs, cold emails. So I think that works, because if a person is really active on internet, then the first step that he is going to do in the morning is to check the emails. I myself do this, like in bed. This is the first step, to check the mails and all, who is what are the stuffs like. So email is a professional tool, and one should use it for cold outreach. Yeah.
Yes. One more thing that most of the new freelancer have, like they're asking oftenly that how should they charge for their services to the client, and most importantly, how they retain their client. That's the most in-demand questions.
Yeah, so actually, the I will answer the second question first, which is
Eh,
like returning buyer thing. The thing is, you will only have your clients return to you when you provide them excellent services. And the thing is, it also depends on the type of service you are offering, and it also depends on what or who you are targeting. Like, if you are not using any freelancing platform, I'm talking like, I'm not considering freelancing platforms. I'm considering, like, if you are pitching someone, or so you have to be, very specific with your targeted audience. So let's say if my targeted audience is content creators, so obviously they are going to return to me, because it's not going to be a one time service. Like, they will hire me on monthly basis, or like a number of post basis, something like that. But they are going to return to me if I provide excellent service. And it is an ongoing process, because they are going to keep posting the content and everything. But it is not like that in everything. If if I'm a logo designer, obviously no brand changes their logo like in every 2 days. It's a one time thing. So you may or may be not getting the same client for the same work again and again. Maybe they can reach out to you for like product designing, merch, anything else. But they are not going to come to you for another logo, like, give me more options, or let's work on some other logos. So this is the thing. Like, if you want repetitive buyers, then you should be having that kind of niche. Also, excellent work services. What was the first question?
So the first question was, how do you charge your client for your services?
For pricing, I think it totally depends on you. You can charge as high as you want, you can charge as low as you want, until unless you are, comfortable with it. There are times I consider my client's budget as well. If you talk about me, everyone has different pricing methods. It's not fixed that for a LinkedIn banner you have to charge, $50, $50. It's not like that. People are charging $750, $800, $900 for a simple banner. But if you ask me, Shruti, would you charge this much? I would not, because it doesn't require that much of effort. Like, the highest I could charging for a banner would be $200. That's it. I wouldn't charge more than that. But people are charging, and I have recently came across a post on LinkedIn where I saw this $300 for a LinkedIn banner, and I was shocked. But people are charging it. So if your soul is giving you permission to do it, then do it. Otherwise, you can always, take idea from the market. You can just, I used to do this when I was a beginner. Go to someone who is already providing the services and ask them their prices as a customer, and then you can just simply block them and move and come back to your place. This is the best way, I guess, so that you get to know their prices also, and you get idea how market is going. And if you feel that their prices are good, you should go with that pricing. Then you can copy the pricing. Like, yeah.
Like, if you ask me about the charges, I would say that because I am not on Fiverr, I am totally active on the LinkedIn. And I recently got one opportunity from the LinkedIn itself about video editing. So it was a company, and he just got to know about me because in my profile there is one keyword called video editor. So he got to know about that. Then he just follow me on there, Then he come to my YouTube channel, Instagram. There he got to know what kind of edits I am doing. And there is a one thing that people needs to be understand, that if you want to build a freelancer who is different from the crowd, you need to do a productized service. What does it that mean? Like if you also want to retain the client, what you can do, you just productize your service. It means you have to list down what kind of services you are going to do for this month, how much video edits or how much graphic designs that you are going to be delivered, and make a package out of it. And if client want any kind of work out of you, so you just say, I have this kind of package, and you just need to buy it. Like Netflix have this subscription model, so you can be a subscription model for your business. So you have to create a package and then ask client that if you want to get my this services, you also need to be take this services. So it's a whole package that you need to be take, and that's how you got your, like, you can charge a productized base or a subscription base. That I just recently got to learn about my this new experience, and I just wanted to know about that, about your YouTube journey also. And first of all, congratulations that I got to know that you launched your book and your courses. Congratulations on that. And I just also got to know that you're being a bestseller in 24 hours itself. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm at my beginning stage of a YouTube journey, so I just wanted to know about how did you started and what helps you to grow.
Many people think this is my first channel. It is not. Previously, I had 5, 6 channels, and none of them work. That's why you don't know them. This is the channel which took growth from the first video of it. After, after a lot of, I won't say failures, after a lot of experience, I got to know this, that for even if YouTube is not supporting you, like as a beginner, you won't get a lot of views. YouTube won't recommend your video a lot. So what you can do is, if someone is searching for it, then your video must pop up in first 10 videos. This is a way by which you can increase or boost your reach. So how can one do that? It's because it's all because of SEO, search engine optimization. So I did that. I have learned it from a lot of channels. There are a lot of channels with they're providing a lot of free values.
Can you describe how to do SEO exactly in a short?
Sure. Actually, the thing is, I'll explain it in very short. SEO is very important. Search engine optimization is YouTube is the second largest search engine. So what we do in SEO is we find keywords which people are searching but have low competition in it. By low competition, I mean not everyone is using that particular keyword. For me, when I researched, the keyword that I ranked on with 18 or 20 views on my video was Canva and Fiverr. These two keywords were people were searching about it a lot, but not a lot of people 3 years back were using these two keywords together in their video. So this was benefit and then I got ranked. So in SEO, you just have to, there are tools, obviously you have to take help of them. TubeBuddy I am using, vidIQ is a tool that I'm using both of the tools together. Although the information is not 100% accurate, but it is up to some extent, it is accurate. So you have to use it. There are they suggest you some keywords, you can use them. They suggest you a overall keyword score, you can see them, analyze it, prepare a separate Google sheet, then list down the keywords. It is very important in starting, but after some time, people don't even use keywords. Still, their video, get ranked and is promoted and get millions of views. The reason is YouTube is supporting them. It's like that. So YouTube is giving them impressions, so they don't have to do that much of SEO. But as a beginner, you should do it, and I'm still doing it. I have practiced a lot. I have uploaded 200 videos till now, I guess. So all those 200 videos have a SEO score of 80, 85, 90, 100. So yeah.
Wow. Right. True. Just let people know about your courses and workshop, how you're going to doing that.
Self-promotion. All right.
Even I want to know about that because I just got to know a little bit about it. So even I want to learn about it.
So for the course, I don't have a lot of courses. I have just recently launched one of my course, which is very close to my heart. It has almost 25 live sessions, like 6 months, one-on-one mentorship, you can say. And it has 37, 38 recorded lectures. The thing is, it's not only about designing and stuff. You will get to know, about designing and all. This is another thing, but you will get to know a lot about freelancing as well. I'm teaching about, like, I know what are the problems as a beginner you face, so I have listed all of them out there. And whenever I start a session, like Sunday 7 p.m., there is a session which is like for my students who have enrolled for the course. So I, like, for the first 30 minutes, it's always about what problems are you facing, what is your concern, what is the thing that you are struggling with. So people talk, we resolve the doubts, we solve the problems. After that, the next 1 hour is going to be of my topic, like that I want to teach them. The first 30 minutes are for them, the 1 hour, next 1 hour is for me, and then again the remaining half hour is for them again, like if you have any doubt. And yeah, then the closing session. So this happens every week, and this is the course structure that I've planned of. Yeah.
Nice, 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 nice. Maybe everyone wants to take this course if they want to start their freelancing journey with the Canva.
Yeah.
One more thing that like you are doing a lot of things. You have maybe your own freelance clients, then maybe you are doing your courses, you have your courses, then workshops, then YouTube channel. How you are going to manage your time and team? That's the most important question maybe.
I'm not very good at time management, to be honest. I just know that I have to finish a lot of things. So just, it's not every day is not same. So yeah, I try to list my important tasks. Like, there are some projects which have deadlines coming, so you have to do them first. Then there are some videos that you have to do, some audits that are pending that you have to do. So I just list out them by, the priority wise. Like, I have to do this, it is must. Even if I, leave the 10 tasks of the day, but I have to complete these two. So I just list out in them in that way. It's not always about writing the tasks. I don't make to-do lists a lot. But yeah, I have a whiteboard in my room. So yeah, I figure out everything on this in every morning. Sometimes it's afternoon as well if my day is not that productive, or I'm starting my day late. Then whenever I get time, I just, draw a rough roadmap that there is a lot to do. I should do these things first. Then I will be doing this, and by tonight I should do this. So it's like I don't define the time that in 1 hour you have to do this. It's not like that. It's just the order. I fix the order. Like, please do this, then do this, then do this. You have to do it. Otherwise, your client will be upset. Otherwise, your whole circle will be, the process circle will be destroyed. So yeah, that's how I manage my time.
That's about the time, but you have your team also.
Yeah.
And like people need to know about how to hire people or how to delegate their tasks, because time is the most important asset that everyone have. So hiring people is the most difficult task, I think. And in future maybe I'm going to be also hire some people, so just wanted to know about it.
To be honest, I have like 3 people right now in my team. Before this time, I was having 8 people in my team, but because of some bad experiences, I have reduced the number of people. And I was in my college at that time. I was not able to take care of the 8 people's team. So what I did for hiring, I've never thought of hiring those people who are working for me right now. It's just for my subtitle person. The girl who is doing this is Sonam. Her name is Sonam. And she has applied 2 years back for the subtitle thing. And suddenly I thought that I need a subtitle person. I just went to my mail. I searched subtitle, and then I got 2-3 people's like mails, and then I just send them a reward back. Like 2 years after I'm doing that. And then I got her. So I was okay. Now, for the video editor, at the time Shikhar applied, my video editor applied, I already had 2 video editors in my team. So there was no vacancy, obviously. But then I saw the portfolio, and then he has reached me from the cold DMs as well. But I'm not very active on Instagram. I don't check DMs very often. Like, I don't check DMs, to be honest. So he has messaged me, like he has mailed me. So I saw the mail. Like I told you, the first thing that I do every morning is checking my mails. So I checked the mails and I got this mail. And he is Rajput as well. So there was a resemblance. Okay. So I just clicked it and I was like, okay. So that's why it's very important to, mention your name, where you are from. He is not from MP, but I thought he is from MP. So there is a connectivity that builds up. So then
Yes.
I liked the work he was doing, very amazing. He edited one of my videos that was already uploaded on YouTube. And I thought that even I have not asked for it, he has, given this much effort. And I like the way he has edited. And the last line that he said was, like, I can please provide me a raw footage so that I can, show you my full potential and all, because it was already edited video. How he was not able to do that much, but still I liked it. So I was ready to give it a try. And then when I saw the edited video, I was just I was very impressed. I was like, okay, he did a very good job. And then he was in team. As for my team management, I just, whenever there's something important or there are things that I want to tell them, my mindset, what I'm planning for future, is just a one call. And I don't call all of the members all together at one go. If I am having a thought for regarding my videos and my plans for YouTube in the future, then I'll just ping him that if you have time today, then we can connect. And then we connect. There is a 30 minutes meeting. And then maybe I wouldn't be, pinging them for the whole month. It's like that. It's not that tough to manage a team if your team members are really good and humble people. So I luckily have right now, the people who are working for me are very good in nature and behavior. So yeah, lucky me. And before, the experience was not good, but right now I'm having pretty good people. So they are the reason I'm able to manage a lot of things.
You got lucky from the beginning of your journey each and every time. And whoever want to reach out to the Shruti, you will get reply anytime, even after 2 years on mail. And don't reach out her on Instagram. That's the precautions that people needs to be take if they want to reach out to you. Right. One more question, that which skill do you think is right now in a booming stage for the freelancing?
So AI and machine learning are the skills which are at boom at this moment. Also, video editing is also a very good skill, and one should opt for, because everything is turning into digital. So you should be, considering these two skills if you are looking into you doing freelancing or are thinking of doing something, different from what other peoples are doing. So you can do things.
Different from the 9 to 5 job.
Yes. It will be 24/7.
Yes, boss. So one more thing, that what kind of advice do you have for the newbies? Because you have been an experience of around last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, just be patient. Nothing comes overnight. The reason I'm talking about all of these things right now is not just because I was lucky, because there were a lot of ups and downs that I've seen. There are times that you won't get any order. There will be time when you will get a client, but he or she will not be satisfied with your work. There will be time you will, lose your money. There will be time when you feel like quitting. So after facing all of these phases, then only you will be getting a kind of stability. So yeah, just be patient and trust yourself. Don't give up. Keep upskilling yourself. That's it, and you'll succeed.
Yes, true. Totally agree with you. Thank you so much for joining me, Shruti, here. And guys, if you want to get to know more about the Canva, freelancing, and just about to know about Fiverr, so you can check out Shruti's channel, and I will be just giving the link of Shruti's channel on the description itself. And thank you so much for Shruti once again joining me here. Looking for the next meeting with
Thank you
you.
for having me. Me too. Same here.
Okay, bye.
Bye.